Commercial break there, but we're back. We're up to the 250 on the Saturday for Cheltenham, so handicap hurdle listed race. This is a fairly nice looking race in terms of names that are in it. It's one again I will want to wait for final declarations. T-Clip has been well supported for this race. Was pretty impressive at Chepstow, to be fair. They were going to go over fences if he hadn't have won that race. The fact that he's now won that, they'll probably just see this season out over hurdles, I suspect. He does look like a proper horse. Whether he's up to winning off this mark or not, I guess we'll find out on Saturday. On the blind side, I like. He's got to be due to win something at some point. Whether this is a prep run for something else, I don't know. Maybe they're thinking hurdles could see some more out of him. I don't know. There's a few interesting ones there. I'd just like to see the final field, and I'd probably struggle to have a bet in this, to be honest, because I just think I'll make too many excuses for horses and I wouldn't have any confidence. Is there anything you like in here, Jamie?
I kind of like, no, I just only look at the same yourself, Dave. I'm kind of going through it and who's going to turn up. But the last time he ran at Cheltenham off a long, like a bit of a layoff, it was only a couple of months, a horse called Duke de Beauchamp for David Pye, owned by McManus. He won there in 2019 at Cheltenham at the November meeting. Hasn't run since March. Was fourth with Kenton to Earthmore, Philip Hobbs. Then Coolooney was Ovali Murphy's the second. Now Coolooney's just come out one there a couple of weeks ago. I like this horse, especially with his course form and off a break. He seems to, but like he's a lovely racing weight, 10 stone 3. Wanted to track. Now it's a stab in the dark, Dave. If he turns up, if he doesn't turn up. But if he does, he might be a good bet each way. That's what the one that stood out in that race for me. After that, it's just only a stab in the dark, to be honest with you.
Beauty. That's where we like it to be fair, just to keep it short, sweet, and have one for these handicaps, because then when they do get finally declared, last season you proved it over and over again. These races where you just have your eye on one, they do tend to go quite well. The intermediate handicap hurdle that comes up after this, Son of Camas is the one that stuck out like a sore thumb for me. I think they were toying with the idea of going chasing with him. Maybe they're trying to win a prize over hurdles, or maybe he needs the prep run. I'm not sure. He's just on the pile of horses that I just cannot trust. I think he's a fair enough-ish price. I think you can get 10s with Ladbroke Coral at the minute. And obviously, if he does run, I think that price will completely go. He'd be the one that I'd be semi-interested in. Dagenham, I do like. I think he was better than the performance looked last week. So I think, or not last week, last month when he ran the October meeting. So Dagenham would be another one that's on the short list for me. Captain Tomcat was obviously quite impressive last month, so he'll be towards the head of the market again. Just it's another one that I just feel like it's probably like there probably is the time to catch a couple of horses in here, but I think it looks competitive enough to work out which is going to be the winner. So I wouldn't have any confidence in there. Son of Camas and Dagenham would be the two that I'll be wanting to watch more than anything. But anything more convincing from you?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, Dave, your man was very impressive the last day. Was Captain Tomcat. Now, same jockey booked again, Killian Leonard, 92. How many pounds did he go up there the last day? He got up £6 from his original mark. He looked like he had loads in hand. He did, now in fairness. One I kind of give a chance to hear, I'm a massive Ben Pauling fan, as you always say. I like the look of this 14-1. A little bit of a stab in the dark each way. What's up with you? Ran the same race as Captain Tomcat the last day. Thought he's been lucky in running. If you watch the race back again, I think he'll finish a lot closer to Captain Tomcat this time. Now, I know now he's rated higher. He's rated higher 132, but at 14-1, because they ran against each other the last day, it was his first outing of the season for What's Up With You. I give him a good chance each way at 14-1. Yeah.
Yeah, fair comment. And yeah, you were right with that, because there was a couple of those races last meeting where there was a few I had penciled in that didn't seem to get the best runs of it and were ones to sort of go on the back burner. And he isn't one that I caught first time up, so I need to watch that one back. But I think you're not the first person to mention that to me, that he didn't have the clearest of runs. I do like Ben Pauling as well.
No, if you look at like the race, the last race with the gamble on the Tegret, like as we'll get onto now later on. While Max like got Muller there by Stern Rubens fall, like he came up and he won easy yesterday. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there's form lines with the October meeting that people forget about. Like,
Absolutely, yeah, and that's the thing with it. Everyone's in such a rush to move on to the November meeting, the big one, but the October meeting, you are right, often gets overlooked. And we mentioned this last year when I was on course. I was talking to Darren about it. There's so many of these horses that will face each other in the October meeting, and they'll reoppose the month after because of the ground being a bit quicker this year. It's like slightly different, but the form lines do carry over for these two particular meetings really well. The last race on the Saturday is a mare's bumper. Now, there isn't. I have a list of loads of little bumper horses that I like to keep an eye on. There isn't anything other than Ishikari Lady that I'll be interested in watching. She defied a long layoff to win nicely the last day. I think she's like a decent enough mare, but it would be a watching brief for me. There's quite a few horses or mares in here that have actually won a race as well, so I think it's got the potential to be fairly useful looking bumper in that sphere, to be honest. So I'll probably be keeping my powder dry unless Ishikara Lady was sort of 6-1 plus, I think. But she'd be the one that I'd be wanting to back if I could get a bet on. She's probably vulnerable to the younger mares, I think. Anything in here that sticks out for you?
I don't know, Dave. I'm actually going black screen here. Can you see me?
Yeah, you look beautiful.
I don't know what's happening here.
You're all right.
Yeah, I have done two, Dave. The one you said is a car lady. Yeah, one there after two years off. Won his first. She won her first race in Plumpton. She won by 15 lengths. She was impressive. Yeah. She was all over the place last day. Not you talked to her, and she still won. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. The only other horse that I will give a chance to is the Este Bell for Dan Skelton. I think that horse is very impressive last day of the entry. And they've targeted this race next. I think she's a good bet. I really do. I'd be worried about is a car lady. I'd be worried about a little bit of the bounce, the so-called bounce. But look, I have down to the two of them. I'd be very surprised if either or don't win.
Yeah, that's it. And I definitely think that'll be a race that will carry forward probably for seasons to come. The Mayor's programme now, there's so many more people getting involved in it because there's like such better races and better prize money for them to go in there. It's going to take a few years to get to the scale where we've got like 5 or 6 top ones facing off every single year. But we're already starting to see it start to happen. So I feel like that could be quite a hot bumper, whereas normally the Mayor's bumpers I sort of downplay a little bit. We'll move on to Sunday. 3 Mile Novices Chase is the opening race of the day. Eden DeHoo was entered for this, and I know he went for the race today in a handicap, and he was fairly poor there, but the intention was there, saying that he obviously wanted a bit of a further trip. So I was semi-interested to see him. He was on the horses to follow list. So is Happy Go Lucky, so it'd be interesting to see if that one comes. Soldier of Love obviously got battered by Galvin, wasn't it? I think the last or something else, not Galvin. Or was it Galvin? Yeah, it was Galvin. So got battered there at the October meeting.
Yeah.
Galvin obviously was there to win and look good. Mossy Femino's not coming here. The big breakaway obviously needs to come out at some point, but they didn't run it Thursday because the ground was too quick, so I can't see them chucking him in at Cheltenham. Lots of trainers and lots of people comment, don't they, that you don't really want to send a novice first time round at Cheltenham. So I feel like the race is just probably going to fall apart a bit. I feel like Soldier of Love just because it's the ground's got the course experience of last time, and again we've still got those form lines feeding in from the October meet, and I feel like that's probably the most likely winner. Happy Go Lucky was fairly impressive the last day. One of the main competitors, and they didn't go so well. So how literally we can take it, but looks fairly good as well. The Mighty Don obviously beating Rillo. He's a bit of a monkey to ride that one. You have to sort of feed it right, and he just got lucky that day, I would think. Depends how small this field cuts up. If there's only sort of 4 runners that go in it, then tactically you'd have to get lucky to do it twice on the bounce. I feel like Soldier of Love, Happy Go Lucky would be the 2 I'm most interested in, but I'd struggle to want to have a bet in this. Anything more concrete from you, Mr. Wren?
I suppose Davey was summed up well there. Like, I'd be the only horse that win this race if he turns up as the big breakaway. Do you know what I mean? He looks like to have the class. Do you know what I mean? If he turned up, he's getting £8 from Soldier of Love, who's, to me, ran well the last time behind Galvin, like, in fairness to him, like, but I think he's getting there because the ground is being so quick, as you mentioned earlier. The ground is so quick, he's still going. Do you know what I mean? Like, if the ground was stopped, he'd be long gone. Do you know what I mean? Like, somewhere. So, I mean, like, you're looking at a Soldier of Love that could come over for a Galway plate or something like that. Do you know what I mean? During the summer. But no, if the big breakaway turns up, he should win. Like, do you know what I mean? It's a terrible race. Like, no,
It,
it's not
it
great, to
isn't.
be honest with you. But
And again, I think it reiterates again what I said about the British novices versus Irish. But hey, ho, can't do much about it. Second race, 150s, grade 3 handicap chase. So much as I frown on the handicaps, and I tend
it's a
to be
good
a bit
race.
snob, the amount of 150s horses, well, even the 140s horses in here as well, does look a proper race. It's one of those races again, though, that when you look at the age of the runners, the majority of them are 8+. We've got a bit of affiliation with most of the runners at some point in their career. There probably there's got to be a good bet in here somewhere. West Approach was pretty good the last day with Harry Cobden on, especially the Tizard form, all those bits and pieces. So he's going to be priced up accordingly. That puts me off. Steely Edition just been absolutely woeful recently, but there is some back form that, I don't know, one day might recapture, but Philip Hobbs is in absolutely horrific form. Cloth Cap, potentially. It's just one of them that I feel like...
You couldn't back a horse.
What's that, sorry?
You couldn't back a Hobbs horse at the moment. You just couldn't. Like, look at the state of Sporting John today. Like, horrific. Like, so I'd stay away from Hobbs at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing. This race, I feel like it could be run a handful of times. You get a handful of different results. I won't be pumping for any sort of selection.
Yeah,
It looks a nice enough race. Is there anything that you could give the viewers at home that's going to absolutely hack up?
Well, you know, Dave, I'm a massive... I'm probably number one fan club with Discorama. He's favourite here at the moment and phone at 5-1. If he turns up, Paul, no one's giving out about his mark in Ireland. I'm sure if he's running off 150 in England, he'll send over an old claimer like to claims maybe £5, £6, £7 off him. Second in the betting there is West. You can't trust West Approach, like, do you know what I mean? I think he won this race last year. You just can't trust him really to put two good runs together. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, the Inky's in there. You know what Brioni's going to do, go for the front and see if you can catch me over 3.5 miles. I backed Cloth Cap the last day in the race that Frode on one, I think. I thought it travelled well. Now, Richie McLaren is up 10 stone 4 here. Would I go for it again? I don't know. I'll see. But to be honest with you, the horse that I fancy here is the horse that I backed last year in the race. He's down £4 from 153 to 149. He ran it outside in October. And he ran in the Albert Bartlett last year, I think, didn't he? David Pike fancies the tele. Horse form specialist, kind of horse. Disappointing he run last year in the race. But he had to do his own work in the race last year. And I think down £4, he's 10-1. Bit of value each way with a horse that likes the track.
Fair one. Well, at least there's something that people can get stuck into. Now, we have got... I mean, I know that the handicap is a better bit to go, everyone bangs on about that sort of stuff. But for me, again, being a graded snob, looking for future form lines, for me, it's the race of the weekend, the race of this meeting, the slower chase. Oh, man, I've gone back and forth on this a handful of times already in my head, and I'm still not sure which way I'm going to end up swaying. Look, we touched on the Philip Hobbs yard form. That's scaring me with Deffy. But if we took that to one side and we just trusted that all these horses are going to run to form, I couldn't have Deffy beating this race. But I don't. It's just, like the price is starting to lure me in with him. Whether I'm going to be stupid enough to still back him anyway. Look, the way I see it is, I don't think Forest Bean's good enough to be winning this. Riders on the Storm is an interesting one. To be fair to him, would probably have to improve a little bit to win because it's given away to some of the other horses. But I can imagine he'll be there or thereabouts. Rouge Vif, I'm not sold on that run the last day, so I wouldn't be on him. Duke of Geneva, we've got the last two Arca winners here. We've got Duke of Geneva for Paul Nicholls this time round, and then put the kettle on. Look, put the kettle on the amount of weight she's getting from Deffy. She's entitled to run well, but I don't rate that Arkle form. I don't think she's that great. I could be proven wrong. So Royal would have been interested if he'd come here, wouldn't he? But he's going fighting fifth, so that's not happening. I just feel like I'm coming all the way back round to just Deffy again. I don't think I'll be able to have a bet in this race. But if Deffy keeps drifting, and again that Hobbs yard form, like I shouldn't be going anywhere near any of them. But like Deffy's not even going to go off favourite in this race. More money's going to come from Rouge Vif. That recency bias with that win. And the problem with Deffy is obviously he flopped in the champion chase. We don't know why, but we know that wasn't Deffy. He flopped here a couple of seasons ago when Layla won the 2-mile race, and that was his seasonal reappearance. And he jumped like an absolute ton of bricks. He was horrific, wasn't he? But then you go back to his triumph and all the time that he's won round here before. Like he's just he always throws in an absolute wobbler at some point in the season. I just hope he doesn't do it here, but I couldn't trust him. It's just I feel like his price is getting too tempting. You can see that I'm even just talking about it, man. I'm getting myself wound up even more about what to do with it. I love the race, like it will be class. I'd be devastated if Geneva won it. I'd be disgusted. If Rouge Vif won it, then fair play. I might have got the horse wrong, but still would be a little underwhelmed. Put the Kettle On would be the only one in the race, other than Riders on the Storm, that if it won it, I'd probably have to say, do you know what, fair play, maybe that is a half-decent horse. And I know that sounds rude from what I've just said about Rouge Vif, mate. I'm just all over the shop with this. Help someone out. Can you help me out and tell me how it's going to work?
Yeah, I love Defi Desai. I'm absolutely shocked he didn't win last year's championship. He won this race last year, and he beat Political, right? And I agree with you, he puts in a wobbler. Now, I couldn't have him at the moment. I leave him off. I think this is a prep run to the Singles Creek. Now, I have a small thing that I hope that he absolutely gets trounced here, and they might think of something taking on a certain surname on St. Stephen's Day, because I think he's tailor-made for the King.
I've said that. I was talking about it earlier today because this race was doing my head so much earlier, mate. Sorry to jump in, but I was talking to Darren earlier on the phone. We were talking about something else, and I just said to him, mate, I need to just go for the slower because I can't stop getting annoyed with Defi. And I said that to him as well. I feel like everyone talks about him for Ryanair. He's obviously won a Marsh. I'd love to see him in a King George. But on the same token, there's a little thing in the back of my head. Just because he's 14-1 for the Champion Chase, and obviously even when the three of him, Chacon and Altior were all in the betting, weren't they? Like the week before or whatever it was. He was favourite of that trio, and now he's 14-1 for the race. I can see him ballsing up here, or whatever happens, I think here, I can see him potentially going for a King George. And then what he'll do there, I don't know, but he's definitely confusing what's going to happen with him. Last season was still even a bit confusing, wasn't it? Even after he won the Tingle Creek, people still thought he was going to go for a Ryanair, didn't they?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll let you carry on.
The only thing, Dave, last year, and it showed last year that he only beat on the 12-year-old. Do you know what I mean? And it showed in the Champion Chase that he was visually impressive. But then when he went to the Champion Chase, he only beat a 12-year-old. Then he beat Politolog, and Politolog was giving him weight last year in the Slur. So then the form kind of worked out. Now, to be honest, if you look back at it, your hindsight's a great thing. That probably Chacon Persuave would probably the one easy. Do you know what I mean? Like the way the ground turned up and everything on the day. But at the moment, this is probably one of the only races that I'd say to yourself that is wrecked my head. That I really looked at. I don't like Defi Desai. I should be shot now for saying this, but I don't like Put the Kettle On either. No, a good friend of mine said to me, "Oh, this is a good horse." To be honest, I'd have backed Score Ride if he ran in it, and that leaves me with Rouge Vif. Now, Rouge Vif was hammered by Put the Kettle On, then came out and wins easy. Then now I backed, as I said to you last year, I backed Facker Jury in the Arkell, and I didn't know what to make of the race. And now I'm going back to Rouge Vif, who's won a handicap and has been raised £10 for it. Is he good enough then to win a Slur? Now, this horse looked like a big baby last year, and has he grown up enough to beat the likes of Put the Kettle On and Defi Desai battle hard and horses like Put the Kettle On was winning in lost in Tipperary, I think, in a novice last year, or did it win it? I can't remember. In start of October, you think, how is this horse? She is an Arkell horse. How is this? So, as I agree with you, it was a poor year. I think it was a poor year. I told you last year in the preview, I thought it was a poor year. And I think I'll go Rouge Vif for the simple matter that it's improving. I wouldn't go mad, as I said to you, but since you said Score Ride's going for the fighting fifth, that's my selection gone. So I'm kind of go. I was between Rouge Vif and Score Royale. I was going to go with Score Royale, but no, I go with Rouge Vif.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. I'm very reluctant with those big handicap wins to take him too literally. The ground was probably key to him.
Jump well, Dave.
Ground again, isn't he? So you have to. I'm probably being harsh, and this is probably the time for him if he's going to go and beat a big name or he's going to go and win the Grade 2. Look, if we took Deffy's rating out of this, and you look at the rest of the field, he's top rated, and he gets weight from a couple of horses. So, on paper, if you can trust the official rating, he should be winning this. And we touched on the Hobbs Yard form as well. So I'm just not sold by him. If he does go and win it, then fair play. I've got it wrong. For, in this instance, still don't think he'll be the champion chaser in the end of the year. We'll find out in the Tingle Creek a bit more. But you're probably right with the way it's going. It's just one of them again. If Deffy just keeps drifting, there's a point, like with Surname in the Charlie Hall. Like when I previewed about Surname, he was a 5-4 poke, and then he goes out to 7-2. He's 4-1 on the exchanges at one point. You just think everything's got an entry point with a price, isn't it? As much as you want to put negatives against certain horses, Deffy went out to 3-1, which I could potentially see happening. I can't see myself not having a bet on him, and it might be stupid, but the best thing to probably do in this, the way I've been uttering back and forth on it, is just leave it alone, sit back and watch it. There's plenty of other races to have a bet in, isn't there? But I don't think we've got the champion chase winner.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't think so either. I think the champion chaser is probably stuck in Willie Mullins' yard, and if they get him right, here we go. This looks a beast. Do you know what I mean? But look, on good ground, the Cheltenham, you never know. If we get proper good ground, you'd have to fancy Deffy on his best form. Do you know what I mean? But if it's good ground,
the ground's going to suit him as well, as much as it helped Rouge Vif. But do you know, it's going to keep me up all night even just thinking about Deffy.
It will be a good race though. I agree. Probably the race of the 3 days because the standard, as you said, we got it is very poor. It's very poor. But this looks like the best race of the whole lot, and it's the one to look forward to, and that's why it's wrecking our heads.
Absolutely, and that's the sort of races we want it to be. We don't want it to be a champion chase where you've got a 1-4 poke and it's hard to make a case for anything else. We want these fiddling ones. Obviously, we want these fiddling ones where we can pick out the answer, but sorry, everyone, I don't know the answer. Greatwood handicap hurdle, though. Easiest race of the weekend to pick the winner. We shoved in Nietzsche a couple of years ago. Harambe won last year after Alan King pulled it out at Ascot, telling us that it couldn't win on slow ground, and then it bolts up on slow ground at Cheltenham. That guy infuriated me because I really, really liked Harambe. I cashed out of my anti-post bet on him at 40s as well. Then I had a cheeky little fiver on just to some sort of cave because I didn't want to be mugged off of him winning, but killed me. This year, there's 2 horses that I've been interested in for this, but I'm going to let you go first because I'm not giving you any clues on this because I'm pretty sure one of the 2 that I'm going to mention wins this race, mate.
To be honest with you, Dave, the 2 horses I fancy are not running. So the one was Marie's Rock, and the other one was Song for Someone, were the 2 that I fancied in the race.
Anything looks like it's going to go because I feel like the race is fairly close to what the final field's going to be. You can get 20 runners in this probably, I guess. I don't know if it could be 24. Can't remember what the numbers are, but we've got 21 here. Most of them are going to go, aren't they? I'm surprised Nicky Henderson. I don't think Nicky Henderson's ever won this race. I thought Buzz was eye-catching in the Welsh Champion Hurdle and would have been the one for this race. But anywho, you mention anything that you do quite like a little bit, and then I will tell you where you've gone wrong. I'll give you a little straight forecast as well.
I hope I'm getting this right, Dave. If the favourite has absolutely no chance. Edwardstone.
He wants
How
a fence,
can this horse be 1-4-2? I know it finished 6th. Yeah, and finished 6th in the Supreme. If Captain Guinness and Elixir Zane didn't fall, where would it have finished? Do you know what I mean? So I can't have him. Proxima, yeah, I can see the case for him because NMI beat him and NMI came out and won then again. Main fact is the story of the season on the flat handicaps. In fairness, I'm but off 147, it's fit from the flat. Looking at it earlier, Dave, there's a few down the end, potential Cormier is one, and there's Benny's Bridge as well. But when I looked at it again, I had it down to 2. One is the winner the last day I mentioned there with the race because Wild Max won the last day is the Gret of John Joe O'Neill. I won easy. I really like the horse that was 3rd in that race, Ashington. I thought I was going to turn up here, and I was going to back Ashton. Ashton, my third choice of the race after Marie's Rock and Song for Someone. It's the fact that Mile Max came out and won easy the last day. You have to give him a chance. And the other horse that I fancy is Paul Nicholls' horse, is Time White. Time White won the last day at Chepstow, then beat the Pinkin. Pinkin showed up well at Cheltenham in October, and then you have the Gubernator who won the Scottish Champion Hurdle trial the last day there. Black Goat was behind Wild Max, so it's all kind of tying in, like, do you know what I mean? So I would go at the moment. I wouldn't have a massive strong opinion because the two horses, as I said, fancy they're gone. But I'd have it down to Time White and Tigret at the moment.
Yeah, well, Time White, it was like very, 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 very close to making the shortlist. Possibly could chuck it in for tri-cost purposes. That run at Chepstow, when it went down the back straight, it just like it's a beautiful looking horse. It looks like an absolute beast. In the old WhatsApp group, when he went down the back straight and jumped one at the back, the oi-ois were already being banded about because it was like you could see it was going to win. It looks like a bit of a beast. Now, whether it can defy 141 as a 4-year-old in a Greatwood, I don't know, but it looked like it was quite a mature horse at Chepstow. I could definitely see that being there or thereabouts. And I would. He's the sort of horse I suspect if he did go and win this, he could probably go and hack up in it. But he's not. He didn't quite make the shortlist. There's a few that could have made it on there. Sebastopol's a horse that I like. He had Kissing Spine a little while ago. I think his mark of 142 is probably. I feel like in this sort of race, you need to have like half a stone in your closet really to be winning it. Sebastopol, I don't think has got half a stone in his closet. I think he's probably like a mid 140s horse. So I think he's got a little bit in him. I think he'll be there or thereabouts. And I don't think we'll ever see the best of him. But Sebastopol still has to make the shortlist because I think Tom Lacey could have run him at Ascot. Saw that he was going to go against Kid Commando. A bit of rain came, but it wouldn't have bothered me about him. But he does like the fast ground, so this quick ground will suit him in the Greatwood. And it's probably done him a favour. He didn't run him at Ascot. So Sebastopol definitely. And you've already mentioned it. But this is killing me. I know we've had the message there, haven't we? Right, Benny's Bridge, right? When he won on trials day, and I put him up as an absolute good thing, and Paddy Brennan called it like a T. You got to try and switch this horse off and get him in his own separate race. Look, a Greatwood's going to be very, very difficult to do that in. But if we rewind to this race last year, he was sent off 9-2 favourite against Harambe. Now he was well and truly beaten. Had a long break off. Ran last month at Cheltenham and was a fairly quiet ride, but I wouldn't read too much into that. It was a comeback run after a year off. Obviously had an issue after that Cheltenham run. That would have put him hopefully right for this. Now, obviously if he doesn't get declared, then he's not right. If they declare him in this race, then that's like a clue in itself that he must be ready for it. He's actually £4 lower than he was in the race last year, and he's a 25-1 poke. There's not enough in there for me to think that he had the injury in that race last year. He's had that comeback run. He showed enough there to suggest that he could be back to where he was. He's still only 7-ish. He's won round here a couple of times. He's the wrong price. He shouldn't be 25s. If he was like a 10-1 poke or a 12-1 poke, I'd still be semi-tempted, but I wouldn't be as bullish. 25-1 is just rude on this horse. Yeah. I reckon Benny's got a proper chance in it. The only thing he's vulnerable to is like a real young improver. And there's loads of 5 there. But Time White, to be an improver of it as a 4-year-old and to win off of 141 would actually have to be a proper graded horse in it. And I just don't think we get that in the Greatwood anymore. We don't get those graded horses. We just get nice handicappers, I think.
That's all, yeah. You don't see the days of
Rooster
Booster, sizing in Europe, like in all these horses anymore, going off top weight and winning the race. Do you know what I mean? I was the horse to beat that Dunguib, the Philip Hobbs horse. Menorah won it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the race has sort of changed shape now, hasn't it? Over the last few years, it tends to be that sort of youngster improving. A lot of them do go to Chepstow first and then come over, and they might have run in between. There's form lines in from Ascot as well if horses go there. Yeah, I feel like it's an interesting one. We saw it last year. There were so many horses in with a finish. They went there. I still think Buzz should have come. I think that's a mistake by Nicky Henderson, but hey-ho, he knows better than I do. We'll move on to the other Grade 2, Sky Bet Supreme Novices Hurdle Trial. So this is the Sharp Novices Hurdle. I feel like the Emma Lavelle one won it last year, didn't it?
Oh, hang in there.
Yeah, and that's like, without sounding rude, I feel like that's the sort of level that this race looks again. We're going to get a winner that's going to probably win by a few lengths. Everyone's going to think, oh, this could be a beast. And I sort of got lured into that bit of hanging there last season, to be fair. But we might not see that. Look, I am really, really shocked with the man that Dan Skelton is, that he's got this third time lucky that everyone's banging on about being a supreme horse. And he, like, to be fair to him, he's done nothing wrong. He looks like he's a proper horse. He's rated 129. Now, I know this is a grade 2, and you'll probably want to see how good he is testing all that sort of stuff. But surely Mr. Skelton could have just plopped him in a little handicap, because we could have all had it on, couldn't we? But he's got
He should be in the Greatwood.
Yeah, imagine that. The thing is, he's got. Yeah. I know. The ratings might not be like exactly bang on with these novices, but you've got Fidel Vallis, 138 rated, 144 for Pleasure for Alex Hales, 141 for Court and Bold. Like, in theory, on ratings, he's got a stone to find with them. They all run off the levels. I don't think he's a stone behind them. He's 5-4 fab for this race, and no one else thinks he's a stone behind him. And I get the fact that it's a grade 2. They look at him as a proper horse or whatever. It just surprises me. There's no shame in winning a handicap if you're well in. Why they wouldn't stick him in a handicap off of it? So look, at the end of the day, he's probably the one that should be winning this. I feel like his bubble's going to burst at some point. Could be in this race. I would not be able to make a case for anything else to oppose him. Luckily, he's too short to get involved with. So sit back, watch. He'll probably win, but they should have stuck him in a handicap, would be my thoughts. Anything different from you?
No, I think you win. I was very, for Pleasure, Mark of 144 is overrated.
Yep.
Fidelio Vallis, I was very disappointed didn't win the last day, and he's 138. Court and Bold, 141, not a hope. Jungle Junction would interest me. Fell there. Harrington's horse that fell, but I don't think she'll bring her in. Yeah, and Pisca Pike is a handicapper, couldn't win a race from Market raising off a handicap of 1, 2, 2 or something, 2, 4 that day.
Mm. He should be winning it, shouldn't
he? Yeah, it's pretty weird rating for a horse that was fourth in the Cheltenham Bumper, wasn't he?
It kills me that he's like his official rating, because I know he's only won those couple of novice hurdles and they've got to base it on that. The bumper form doesn't particularly come into it. But when you look at like bumper ratings of horses, like most of them will end up, like good ones will end up in the 120s. He got 127 for his bumper mark, and then his official hurdle rating is 129 now. Sometimes it happens where those numbers will be close, but the horse has maybe been beaten by some of those hurdles. I'm not saying that he's like overrated what people are thinking. I think he's massively underrated on that 129. We'll find out from the handicap, won't we? It'll just be interesting to see what they have to do with him after, because he should be winning this. He's running off a level weights. Mm-hmm. Like we said, there's 141 in there that probably overrated, 144 probably overrated, 138 or 136 if Jungle Junction came over. Even Pisca Pike off of 129, like he should be spanking that. If he does win this, like we think he probably should, he's got to be in the 140s after this, and that's just why I feel like they could have gone for a handicap with him, but hey-ho, they're not. Well, they might not run him, but should be winning, shouldn't he? But he's not going to win a Supreme, is he?
Oh, not at all. No. I think you, CVD Park have the key to the Supreme, I think, already, and one hasn't even showed up in the race course this year, so no, way off the standard.
The bumper listed race as well on there. I think we can, if we've got 3 minutes left, we could fit that into this recording. So look, this is one that there's loads of horses in here that have got bits of pedigree in there that I quite like. None of them are like unbelievable standout. This is an absolute aeroplane. I can't wait to see this run. So I would be leaving this until final decks, having a little bit more of a look at them. But yeah, the ones that I have looked at, there's some like nice enough horses in here, but there's nothing that jumps out enough that you'd want to be getting too excited about, I don't think. So I'd be sitting back and watching the bumper, I reckon. Yourself?
If Gordon Elliott brings it over, we see going here, he'll win.
Correct. He might send him over to Tiger Company, mightn't he?
Yeah, hopefully. This horse turns up by backers. I like this horse. Flopped on debut, but he was very impressive in Galway. He wanted the stole. supposed to run against Sleek Dala, is this Sleek Dala or something his name is? And that horse was 1, 2 or 3 races after it. Do you know what I mean? He was supposed to run him against Clarny and the ground turned too soft. So I think Gordon is bringing the horse over for a bit of good ground. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
could be
think he'll
right.
win. If this horse comes over, I
Yeah,
really think this horse is one of the bets of the weekend as well, on top of Protectorate of the weekend. I think if this horse comes over, he's looking for the bit of good ground. Gordon Elliott, I think he'll win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Problem is the price. Like, you know, because it's Gordon Elliott bringing it over in the bumper, he'll be a ridiculous price. Do you know what I mean?
But it does depend on what they put in there, though, because I reckon first show you'll still end up getting like odds against someone will go 6-4, then he'll be like probably smashed up. But I watched his last one. We beat Camp David, I think it was, and the way he cruised into the lead, it was one of those horses where you think, oh, this is cruised in, but once he asks him, he's like the field might start getting to him. And Jamie Codd never even had to ask him. I'm pretty visually impressed with that. I think he probably got.
But Dave, he's no off your rocker, like.
No, very true, very true. Go on. So we are going to come up to the point where this is going to cut off again. We just got Punchestown to cover now, so we'll cut it now. I'll set up another meeting, invite Jamie. We'll get the Punchestown stuff done, and then I'll get this loaded up, and we can go to bed.